Hey guys, welcome to Budget with a July Dreamer. My name is Miranda, and on this channel I talk about personal finance, specifically sharing tips on how to save, how to invest, as well as budgeting. If these topics are of interest to you, then do not forget to hit that subscribe button and like this video as well if you like the content that I'm sharing. So in today's video, I'll actually be talking about budgeting mishaps, specifically the April 2021 budget mishaps. Specifically, the April 2021 budget mishaps that I have had or have experienced, and I would like to share them with you so that we can learn together, and maybe you may have some ideas of how I can do things a little bit differently. Before we begin this video, I want to just say a huge thank you to my returning subscribers. I really do appreciate you guys. And then if you're new to my channel, I hope you're here to stay and like the type of content that I'm sharing. So do not forget to hit that subscribe button as well as like this video. So what are some of the budgeting mishaps that I've experienced in the month of April? I have been budgeting for many years, and what I love about budgeting is it gives me an overview of how I intend and plan to spend my money. But there are times when things come out of the blue, and even though my budget does contain a category for miscellaneous spending, I always seem to blow that budget, and sometimes I think I've got the hang of it and I've added in enough categories in my budget, but then something always comes up. So I've just kind of decided I'm not going to include all the categories in the world, but I'll include enough that will cover the types of expenses that I have on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, on an annual basis, and I adapt my budget in that way. I mean, budgeting is not supposed to be restrictive. It's just supposed to be a guide to help you manage your money. So the first mishap that I had was not allocating the money that I had left over from the previous month. So I had about £500 left over from March budget, and instead of actually budgeting that for the month of April, I was just like, oh, I do have a holiday coming up in the next couple of weeks. Why don't I just put that money towards that holiday? I do have a separate pot for that. So that's what I did. And I completely forgot that I had some expenses that were coming through in April that I needed to think about, like dental appointment. I just came from the dentist, so this side of my mouth is actually numb, so I couldn't even apply my lipstick properly, so I kind of was going like this. So anyway, forgive me for that, but there's nothing I can do about this situation. But anyway, so I completely forgot about some of the expenses that I was having, but I decided because I do have a holiday coming up, I should put some money aside, which is something I do all the time, but I like to make sure that I've actually budgeted for that. This time I did not think about it whatsoever. I just moved the money. So this was mishap number one. Mishap number two was not budgeting enough for food. So as a single person, I am able to budget about £200, which I spend every single month on my food. Sometimes this is less. There have been times like Christmas times when it is more because I have people over. And this was the case for April, where I knew I was going to have visitors coming over, and I thought I had budgeted enough, but then at the last minute I realized there were certain items that I forgot to include on my shopping list, which meant I needed to go and buy those things, which led to me being £40 over my £200 that I normally set for food. So this foresight that I normally have somehow for the month of April just left me. Literally, I did not think about it. I was so excited to see my friends because I haven't seen them since before COVID, so it was kind of like, oh, we're gonna have so much fun, you know, there's gonna be a lot of eating and drinking at home, but I completely forgot to plan for it. So that is the second mishap that I had in the month of April. So I've already talked about the miscellaneous one, and I'm looking at my list that I compiled already, and the third one is actually gifts. So I decided to start sinking funds so I can save for things like gifts, because these are things that I actually just leverage my budget every single time somebody's birthday comes up. I include that like in my miscellaneous category, because it's not something that comes frequently enough in my life, but it does come every couple of months or so in the year. So I thought, let me start a sinking fund, and I'll link a video up or put it in the description bar below. But I started putting a little bit of money aside, and I had £50 saved for a gift, because it was my brother's birthday this April, and I thought, okay, I do have £50. I wonder what he wants. Turns out my brother wanted a bike, and being obliging older sister, I was like, well, I do have some money that don't exactly have a home, so I could just probably do that. But this is not the right way to do it. I could have just been like, you know what, brother, we only have £50 and this is what we're spending. But no, I wanted to make my brother's birthday special, and the money was there, so I was just like, I used that. So I ended up being over £200 over budget. This money did come from a savings account that has zero purpose, if I can say that. I just like having the money there, to be honest. I love saving. I'm a spender, but I also love having money in that account for no reason whatsoever. I just like having it there, and then when I do have something come up, I can just dip in and use that. The other thing that came up is something that I don't know why, even after so many years of budgeting, I still forget to put certain items on my budget. I literally do not know why. So this was subscription services. So I do have a subscription service to Equifax and Experian. These are credit agencies. There were some things that I've been doing, and I hope to be able to share them in my next budgeting video, probably the May closer video. I might be able to share more on this, but I needed to just make sure that my credit files were correct. And in the UK, most lenders kind of prefer to use Experian, but I just had Equifax, which meant there was a mismatch between these, which I still don't understand why there was. But anyway, I have these subscription services that I pay for. For some reason, they just run through my budget. I don't budget for them whatsoever, but this time I was just like, why am I not budgeting for them? These are expenses that I have every single month. Why am I not budgeting for them? And normally they're just absorbed by miscellaneous. I just was like, well, they're not exactly miscellaneous. There's things that I definitely know I pay for, and I pay for them every single month. So it made sense to add them. So I made sure that for future budgets moving forward, you will see a category for miscellaneous. And then I don't know if I'm on the 4th or the 5th, but one of those. One thing that I noticed last month, in the month of March, is as soon as the financial year ended or was coming to an end, so it ended on the 5th of April, a lot of prices for many things, commodities, had gone up. So for me, it was the life insurance. It was my car insurance actually hasn't gone up. It was buildings and contents insurance. It was my broadband. It was my mobile. All of these things, they had all gone up in price a little bit. So maybe like £2 more than before. But this meant that I needed to adjust my budget. It was only a couple of pounds here and there, but the idea with budgeting is so that you budget a little bit more than you normally would spend, not budget less than what you normally spend. This doesn't really make sense. So I kind of found myself in a situation where for the month of April, some of my bills for like insurances, they were a lot more than what I had budgeted. So for my contents insurance, for example, I had budgeted £22 because I normally pay £21.97, but because the price had gone up to £24.24, that meant my £22 could not cut it anymore. The money, sure, I always make sure to have extra money in my bank account, but that's not the point. The point is I should have actually checked this, and they do send documentation to me, but because I don't actually have paper billing anymore, everything is just on their website. I do forget that every year I should go check that, and because of that I experienced this budgeting mishap. So I'm sharing this video just to show to people, especially those who are new to budgeting, that you don't have to be so rigid or stringent on your budget. Your budget is meant to be flexible. It really is just a guide to help you plan how you're going to spend your money, to give your money a home, or to give your money an activity that it will do for the coming month or what have you. In my case, I did have a budget, but there were certain expenses that were no longer what I thought they were going to be because one, lack of planning, and two, I did not check on, for example, like my insurances, because the year was coming up and I normally do check to see if there's been any changes. This time I completely forgot. So because of that, that led to me not budgeting enough for certain expenses, and also me not actually allocating the money that was left over from the previous budgeting calendar. It led me to just moving this money somewhere else, whereas I could have just kept it in the budget, maybe taken a portion of that, and then the other portion could have gone to buying for my brother's present, for example. Granted, I did not know that he would want a mountain bike. Hello, Junior. But it still would have been better if I had an idea that, okay, maybe you may want something a little bit more expensive than £50, so I could have used that. But otherwise, I think even with the budgeting mishaps that I have had in the month of April, I have still been able to pretty much manage my budget with every miscellaneous or unplanned for expense that had come my way. I still had enough money in my account, in my savings, to cover those expenses. And I think this is one of the most important things about budgeting, and just making sure you also have extra money in your account for unexpected expenses. So this is all I wanted to say in today's mishap video for the April 2021 budget. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, do not forget to hit that like button. Do not forget to subscribe to this channel if you enjoy this content, and also in the comments below, please do share some of the budgeting mishaps that you have experienced in your life or in with the last month's budget. Whatever expenses you've had, share them below so that we can learn together, grow together, and educate each other. Thank you so much for watching my video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.